Marking 80 years since the Allied invasion at Normandy. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Biden spoke earlier today at the American Cemetery, drawing a direct line from the fight to liberate Europe from the Nazis to Ukraine's battle with Russia.
President Biden recognized the Americans who laid down their lives on D-Day to stop the tyranny of fascism moving across Europe. And he called on allied democracies to rise to that moment again, with a modern-day dictator, Russian President Vladimir Putin, also threatening to march across Europe.
Democracy is never guaranteed. Every generation must preserve it, defend it, and fight for it.
Biden defended his recent decision to allow Ukraine to strike targets inside Russia with U.S. weapons, something that Putin suggested amounts to direct participation in the war, before again making a veiled nuclear threat.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich at the White House says the U.S. announces it will send about $225 million in new military aid to Ukraine. The new package includes ammunition that could be used to strike threats inside Russia. The widow of Beau Biden testified today at Hunter Biden's gun trial in Delaware. Hallie Biden testified about her past addiction to drugs.
She says that Hunter turned her on to crack cocaine in 2018. She's since been cleared and clean, but she is the heart of this gun story. She walked confidently into federal court with her new husband. She actually was married recently. She was married to Hunter's brother. He died, Beau Biden, in 2015. She and Beau had 2 children together. After she died, she was in a romantic relationship with Hunter. His addiction became her addiction, she says. She says that she found his crack at her home.
Fox's David Spunt in Wilmington, Delaware. A judge has dismissed attempted murder, elder abuse, and assault with a deadly weapon charges in the state case against David DePape, the man accused of attacking Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul. America is listening to Fox News.
Getting 93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He's been missing for several days. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending this hour. A teenager in Indianapolis has been charged with his father's murder. Donnie Burgess reports.
Brandon Perry was last seen May 26th. His trailer was found May 27th on Indy's southeast side, and his truck was found 2 days later just around the block. Indianapolis Metro Police started investigating Perry's disappearance last week, and by Saturday, officers arrested Perry's 17-year-old son, David. Detectives say they have physical evidence and video footage against David Perry, but he should still be considered innocent until proven guilty. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The largest concrete pour in the city's history will set the foundation for the Signia by Hilton Hotel near Lucas Oil Stadium. The hotel is supposed to open in 2 years and is only expected to bring more conventions to the city, says Chris Gold with Visit Indy.
Just a few months ago, FDIC International, the firefighters, the 35,000-person international trade show, which is convened here since 1995, they signed on the dotted line to stay safe and sound through 2032.
Mayor Joe Hogshead says the hotel allows the city to compete for over 3/4 of the top 250 trade shows in America. And a couple of nights will be at the Indiana State Fair this summer. That would be 3 dog nights and Gladys nights. They've each been added to the Hoosier Lottery free stage schedule. The first performs on opening night, while the latter takes the stage August 4th. The State Fair runs from the 2nd of August to the 18th. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
This Thursday evening, we will see clear skies overhead. Low temperatures drop to about 60 degrees and winds out of the northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. A little gusty. Tomorrow, we are back to warm and sunny conditions outside. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Renard Sudas for 93 WIBC.
Sinus pressure, congestion, snoring, being unable to sleep, being unable to breathe. Yep, it's another sinus infection. You've Googled, watched videos, tried over-the-counter sprays, medications, and home remedies, but nothing ever works. There must be some kind of treatment that can help, right? Indianapolis Sinus Center understands how draining it can be when you try treatment after treatment without any relief. That's why they've been serving and treating the community for over 50 years. Indianapolis Sinus Center has performed thousands of procedures and helped thousands of patients find lasting relief they didn't know was possible. Patients like you. If you've had enough of sinus pain, pressure, and congestion, schedule a visit with Indianapolis Sinus Center today. Call 317-528-9650 and take the first step toward breathing easy. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650 or visit IndianapolisSinusCenter.com.
Hey, this is Spencer Thompson at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. Now through Monday, it's our inventory reduction sale. Take up to an extra 20% off the already low sale price on in-stock goods. Plus, huge discounts on special orders from Lazy Boys, Smith Brothers, Hollywood, Berlin Gardens, and Lift Chairs. We guarantee the best price, the best service, and free delivery only at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Denny Smith here. The kickoff to summer sale at Sundown Gardens is this week. 30% off all pottery, fountains, and statues in stock. And what goes best with new pottery? The flowers to fill them. Save from 20 to 40% off all annuals in stock this week. Sundown Gardens wants to help you finish all your outside summer decorating. The greenhouse is still bursting with great annuals, hanging baskets, and more. Sundown Gardens at 186th Street and Spring Mill Road in Westfield. SundownGardens.com. That's SundownGardens.com.
Tony Katz.
It's Kendall and Casey.
The Amber and Nigel show. All right, when does your show start? Do we know? I feel like I've been promoting this for 9 years now.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Hey, welcome. I'm Tony Kinnett. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC. That's 93.1 FM out of Indianapolis. The live streams on Twitter, X, and YouTube, and the podcasts, everywhere else. Well, I didn't quite know what I wanted to make the title of the show this evening because sometimes I try to think of something clever. I try to think of something that's eye-catching because, who doesn't? I try to think of something that really relates to the show, but I do try to keep an element of dignity to it. And I really did not have a pun that came to mind that was not, I just couldn't resist. The title of the show tonight is President Poopy Pants in France, because there really is little to no other explanation than what happened today in Normandy, which was, of course, a disgrace to the United States, a disgrace to the veterans and the fallen at Normandy, because we did not send over our best. We sent Joe Biden and Jill and Lloyd Austin, because, he's obviously out of prostate surgery long enough to swing by a event that he can show his face at. Anywho, to get into the news, because my goodness, what a terribly smelling news day. Our dearest El Presidente traveled to Normandy today for the 80th anniversary of D-Day, and it went atrociously. So first of all, in the clips, and if you're not watching the show online, if maybe you're listening to this to a podcast on your morning commute tomorrow, then or today, for those of you listening right now, you're going to want to go back and check out the live stream. So here is President Biden, I guess, getting completely lost on stage in front of God and everybody, and kind of half leaning over, half standing up. Take a look at this. So he's shaking hands, and he kind of sort of half squats. He's sort of half leaning.
Please welcome the Honorable Lloyd J. Austin.
It's not looking good. And poor Jill. I don't say poor Jill because, she's committing elder abuse by keeping her husband in the office, but she's kind of covering her mouth, telling him to stop, stand up, things we've caught on the microphone before. But Joe is caught in this half standing, half sitting phase that the internet pointed out really makes it look like he's pooping. And as someone who has spent time in a nursing home, either doing nursing home ministry or having spent time with family members that I've cared for, I have been in the presence of family or friends in the nursing home who have pooped their pants. And yes, it looks like that. Yikes. Fantastic. I'm sure that, once the doors are closed, once Biden is away, all his aides promise that he's just the most with it guy that can't even keep up. He's just super fast and fresh and really on the ball all the time, guys. You don't even know. Except when he's in public, it's not really going that well. So the president of the United States, not even knowing where he is on stage, half sitting, half standing. Then President Biden, during TAPS, one of the most important songs in honoring the fallen. By the way, if you didn't know, there are actually lyrics to the bugle, to the song TAPS, actually, to the bugle call. It's "Day is done, gone the sun, from the hills, from the lake, from the skies. All is well, safely rest, God is nigh." So that's what those bugle notes are supposed to indicate. It is a very important, and of course, if you've ever heard TAPS before, you understand. Well, here's President Biden just turning around in the middle of TAPS. No explanation at all. Jill's like, what are you doing? And basically, look, she nudges Macron from France, and he's like, oh, I should probably turn around too to save face. No one has any idea what they're standing in that direction for. One of the people I follow over on X pointed out, I forgot that time in Boy Scouts when they taught us to turn away from the flag during daps. Just, it's horrible. And you have to laugh. You have to laugh because otherwise you will cry. It is that sad for American history. And then President Biden did get up to speak, and they have just stuffed him with so many amphetamines that it really is just pitiful to try to get him to look sentient in front of the international community. And he does want to be FDR so badly. Anytime Biden gets in front of the public, he wants everyone out there to think that he is the last thing standing between the United States and total brutal war. Here's Joe Biden comparing the actions of the troops at Normandy to the United States helping Ukraine fight Russia.
They've inflicted on the Russian aggressors, they've suffered tremendous losses, Russia. The numbers are staggering. 350,000 Russian troops dead or wounded.
What are you doing, dude? Look, aside from the Ukrainian-Russian war, going after Russia on D-Day is kind of a gross thing to do because in that specific war, Russia was kind of one of the allies. Not the time. And also, may I just point out that I don't care what political point it is, you do not make political points during important, memorable historical addresses like this. That's gross. So either he's sentient enough to be awful and terrible, or he is, again, as Robert Herr pointed out, too dawdling and feeble to carry on before anyone. So this is the huge issue that Democrats in the United States are having approaching the Democrat National Convention. By the way, one more clip here. This is Biden leaving with Jill. So he's doing the weird, awkward, stiff shuffle. She's clearly leading him away, by the way. You can see by the way that she's holding him. And it's very awkwardly cheery music because Macron is actually staying there to meet with veterans and shake the hands of the World War II veterans. And Jill's leading him off, which, again, the way that he's walking and the way that she's hustling him off, I guess someone also pointed out that it looked like he's wearing different pants later. It looks like Biden pooed himself. So indeed, there you go. We have President Poopy Pants being led away. He can't even shake hands with veterans older than him who have better control of their faculties. And by the way, the media about this trying to cover are just idiots. So desperate to cover for President Biden. So Biden advisor Mitch Landrieu decided that on MSNBC today that he would compare, just like, D-Day 80 years ago, so is going to the polls in November to vote against Donald Trump.
And I feel very, very confident that this is going to be a very hard-fought race, but when the chips are down, the American people are going to show up, just like those kids did 80 years ago.
Ah, yes, very much. Just like a 16-year-old storming the beach under extreme machine gun fire and watching, likely, 80 to 90% of the guys he clambered out of the boat with dissolve into red mist in front of him. Yeah, that's just like going down to the Hancock County Library at Greenfield and casting a ballot against Donald Trump. And you think, well, that's just a Biden advisor. Hillary Clinton did the exact same thing, had to turn off replies in her post because she was so brutally mocked for one of, again, you can just say that something is a good aim for your party without comparing the worst thing in the world to 9/11 or the casual acts that you prefer to storming the beaches at Normandy. Dear God in heaven, help us all. And I just want to make this clear because at a night with WIBC last year, there was a bit of a kerfluffle, on the stage. Tony Katz, who's a good mentor of mine and a good friend of mine as well, he disagreed with me when I made the point when we were talking about who the Democrat nominee for president was. I said, I do not know genuinely if Biden is going to be alive by the time of the election. And lovingly, he chided me and said, I think it's kind of a gross thing to kind of place bets on whether someone's going to live or die. And later on, we were chatting about it, and I clarified that I wasn't making a joke, that I wasn't, casting lots in some kind of a weird bet. I do believe that what we have seen, as we pointed out yesterday, by the way, if the stimulants can't even get him through the first half hour of a major event in front of the international community, how's he going to make it through these hour, 20-minute, hour and a half long debates with Donald Trump? No wonder his campaign has demanded that CNN give him heavy commercial breaks. At this point, though, it really doesn't matter. In my opinion, it looks like he's reached his max dosage of stimulants, of amphetamines, of steroids that you can give him to make him look or act present. Because when you take a stimulant, you have diminishing returns, which means over time you have to up the dosage. So if you're taking a stimulant chronically, then you're on basically a race to whether you reach the point where you no longer need the stimulant anymore, or you take so much of the stimulant that your heart gives out. And so I do think that it is a genuine possibility that we actually could see President Biden, pumped so full of amphetamines, again, horrible elder abuse, actually collapse on national television in a debate with Donald Trump. And would be a horrible, horrible thing for the nation. And unfortunately, that's not even something that's unlikely. That's very, very likely at this moment. And that's terrifying. So finally, lastly, I want to talk about this in the quick news roundup. Forget the entire event as we had showed last night regarding the executive order situation. Biden can't even make it through that simple press announcement. He can't even communicate to Americans his asylum border plan. And so Donald Trump hit him back with what honestly is probably the most effective thing from his campaign today. Here's that.
If Joe Biden truly wanted to sign an executive order to stop the invasion, he only needs a single sentence, and it would say, I hereby immediately reinstate every single border policy of a gentleman named Donald J. Trump, who was president of the United States.
If Trump makes that argument at the debate stage, he wins. If Trump actually campaigns like that, which is just, you suck, let's just go back to doing what I was doing, he wins. That's it. That's the entire point. That's the only point that needs to be made. And nothing at this point, except for Trump, is going to get in that way. And that is something that legacy media is even having to come to terms with. Well, up next, speaking of legacy media, Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin is going to join us to talk about a little something PolitiFact wasn't too happy about. We'll be back in a second. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
Okay, so you ever go into Cracker Barrel and think,
who are the old-timey photos? That's a great question. They're just a stock of some Cracker Barrel warehouse where it's like, we have 93 photos of Maud from Santa Fe, New Mexico, sitting on a porch.
Right, store 78 needs something in the left wing. Ship it out.
Kendall and Casey, weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
If you can't get a good night's sleep, let me ask you, are you breathing well? Because if you're snoring or waking up each night with a stuffed up nose, or frustrated with your CPAP mask, the root of your sleep problem lies in your breathing triangle. And if any one of those passages isn't working, you won't sleep well. And there's no mattress, pill, or other gimmick that can fix that. I'm Dr. Madan Kiandula. A recipe for a good night's sleep starts with an open airway. Now, there are devices that can help solve snoring or sleep apnea problems. If you walk into a sleep center, know you'll walk out with a CPAP. And you might find other options elsewhere. But the simple truth is, if your nose doesn't work properly, no device will help. Only at Advent will you find every effective snoring and sleep apnea solution, along with a world-class team that can get your nose working properly again.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Elevate your vibes and your savings with Pike's Smokes Megastore's Thirsty Thursday savings. Every Thursday, Pike's Smokes Megastore features a buy one, get one half off on all e-juices and Salt Nick. Whether you vape, smoke cigars, or love hemp products, Pike's Smokes Megastore has something fun for you. And visit them for everyday discounts for military, first responders, and seniors. Pike's Smokes Megastore, 5028 East 62nd Street, Indy.
When life spells heartburn, how do you spell relief? R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
What about when life spells fried chicken?
R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Fourth cup of coffee?
Still R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Extra cheesy pizza?
Rolaids always spells relief. Rolaids' powerful dual-active formula begins neutralizing acid on contact to fight your heartburn fast. So, when life spells heartburn, Rolaids spells relief. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
We put our lives on the line for our country. We braved the unknown. We did what we were told, and we lit up. Our cigarette packs were as valuable as the packs on our back, maybe more. At one point, cigarettes were part of our daily ration. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. And boy, we were smoking 'em. Bumming a smoke was the norm. It was an escape from the reality of dirt, sweat, and forgetting how many days you were so far from home. Never had to worry so long as you had a light, and the smoking lamp was lit. If that was you then, get your lungs screened now. Surviving lung cancer starts with a scan. Learn more at screenyourlungs.org. And thank you for your service. This PSA was made possible by industry funding and guidance from lung cancer patient groups.
The future depends on teachers. Every day, teachers are shaping our tomorrows, starting their students on journeys that will change the course of history. Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who will make preventing pandemics their life's work, sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who will help combat climate change, and generating possibilities for a student who will be the first in their family to graduate college. It all starts with teachers who meet challenges with creativity, who reinvent education for the future, who work towards a school system that lifts up every child, regardless of race, income, or zip code, and to enable the full potential of our students, our communities, and our country. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Shape the future. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
This is Indy.
Tell me it wasn't worth the wait. New Garden to the outside.
The race to renew is on. Indy 500 ticket renewals are open for the next 500 hours. Lock in your current seats by June 17th for the lowest prices available. Details at ims.com.
Final on board makes a run, but he will not catch it.
This
Joseph Newgarden goes back to back. Wins the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race.
is Indy, where heroes become legends and legends become legendary.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Good evening. Welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC. Well, the last time that we had Senator Ron Johnson on the show, PolitiFact threw a fit because, you know, it's PolitiFact. And they decided to kick up a bit of a fuss that turns out just a couple of weeks later to not be so solid after all. Senator Johnson, thanks for joining us.
Well, Tony, well, it was never solid, but again, they'll take any possible excuse to, claim something that I said that was basically 100% true and claim it, pants on fire false. But that's PolitiFact.
So the claim that they're citing you on is that you had made the case that Senate Democrats had voted to affirm abortion up until the point of birth. And that was the goal of the Senate Democrats. And PolitiFact threw a huge fit and said, well, actually, not Senator Joe Manchin, even though, according to other bills by the Susan B. Anthony Center and several other pro-life organizations, he has affirmed abortion up until birth, just in other ways. But regardless of that, Joe Manchin's not even a Democrat anymore. So, man, talk about a thin way to get at you.
Not anymore. But again, they'll take any possible measly excuse to prove something that's 100% true and claim it's false. But again, the larger point here, and this is what I've been trying to make for literally years, is the extreme position on abortion is held by Democrats. And the other thing they cite, well, there aren't many partial birth abortions anymore. There aren't that many abortions that occur. I admit that. Most abortions occur up, within 14 weeks of life. Okay. But that still doesn't negate the fact that Democrats want to make abortion completely available, unrestricted, up to the moment of birth. And that's the point we're trying to make. And that is the extreme position. The vast majority of Americans do not agree with that. And of course, the media, they will never cover, for example, when I say the extreme position on abortion is held by Democrats, they just don't even cover it because they don't want anybody to focus on that. Instead, they'll focus on the fact that, I voted for protecting life after 20 weeks. So I want to ban abortion or 14 weeks or 15 weeks or 6 weeks. That's not a ban on abortion. That's protecting life after a certain point. And that's a pretty reasonable approach. Now, listen, I completely respect people with strongly held religious views that want to protect life from the moment of conception. I get that. In my own personal life, that's how I would act. But we live in a secular society. As Judge Alito said, this is a profound moral issue, and it is a profound moral issue. And I think, by voting for protecting life after 20 weeks, or the referendum I proposed that would ask the question, at what point does society have the responsibility to protect life in the womb? I mean, the responsibility to protect life, it basically sees the point that up to a certain point, a woman's going to decide that for herself. But at some point, life is so vibrant, it's viable, it's experiencing pain, those little babies. Okay, at some point, it's really our responsibility to protect that life. And that is the question that has to be decided. That is the profound moral question. And that's really... And again, Republicans are with the American public there. Most Americans don't want to snuff out life past a certain point, and it's pretty early in the process. Europeans protect life after 12 weeks. Again, that's not an abortion ban. That's protecting life at a very reasonable point.
And I think that's really the key, is that when you're defining policy like an adult, like a grown-up, you have to look at the fundamental issues at play, what the facts are, what the realities are, and then define policy based on things that we can universally agree on. Okay, what is the point that we're going to define as life so that we can protect it? It makes sense. It's rational. It's reasonable. On with Senator Johnson from Wisconsin talking about, defining protecting life and that kind of policy in the House, the Senate, and beyond. And I agree with you. I think Alito's point is very crucial here, that this is a profound moral issue. If it's a profound moral issue, you can't start from feelings and exceptions and externalities and then water your way down to the policy. You have to start at foundations and fundamentals. And when we're looking at policy, your point was crystal clear. I am not going to stand for policies that support or protect abortion up until the moment of birth. That's not controversial.
And in order to make these decisions on these profound moral issues, you need information. And that's what was so tragic about Roe v. Wade. It took this debate off the table. So for 50 years, it was just a Hobson's choice, black or white, pro-life, pro-choice. Don't talk about the profound moral issue here. Don't talk about really what does life look like inside the womb? What can a baby experience at 4 weeks, at 8 weeks, at 12 weeks, at 20 weeks? And as abhorrent as it would be, people need to understand this is what abortion looks like.
Well said.
At 4 weeks and 8 weeks and 12 weeks. And if the American public had that information, I think the American people would be protecting life at a pretty early stage. But again, the media won't give them that information. The media won't even talk about, won't quote me when I say the extreme position on abortion is held by Democrats who want unrestricted abortion up to the moment of birth. Instead, they go, well, Senator Johnson, you want to ban abortion. No, I want to protect life after a certain point, and I want we the people to decide that. I don't want 9 Supreme Court justices. I don't want 535 members of Congress. I don't want 132 members of the Wisconsin legislature to decide that. I want a referendum sent out to we the people to decide the question, at what point does society have the responsibility to protect life inside the womb? That is a decision we the people should decide. Now, am I going to be perfectly satisfied with it? No, I'd like to protect life as early as possible. It may not be as early as I'd like to see it, but okay, I understand that we are in a secular society. A lot of people have deeply held moral beliefs that span the spectrum. Okay, and I can also, if you take a look at individual circumstances,
right, you
can understand, well, yeah, a woman in this situation, I understand why she'd have to make that profound decision. I understand that, okay? And you have to put yourself in other people's shoes and realize you can't be, being absolutist on this can be an issue.
Right, but you're talking about like specific exceptions, but you're still starting from the principles of this is a point that we can recognize as a society that we need to award full rights and protections thereof to individuals. And again, that's such a rational, normal thing to do, which is why you pointed out earlier in the media how when they're covering these issues, they don't actually say pro-choice and pro-life anymore. They say reproductive freedom and anti-reproductive freedom, so that right out of the gate, I mean, you're just not even getting a fair shake at any kind of an argument or rationale. The trust the science crowd. I was a biology pre-med who studied reproductive science thoroughly. No one's trotting me out on television to go over what's biologically occurring during an abortion to the public like they did when we were describing respiratory illness during COVID. It's a very one-sided argument to the public sphere, and that has serious implications.
Well, the left is expert at co-opting words and then perverting them. A liberal, listen, the concept of a liberal is somebody who's all about freedom. And so the left has co-opted that term. They call themselves liberal, but the fact of the matter is they're the ones that are limiting freedom. They're the ones who want to grow government. They want to maintain that absolute control. Progressive, and who doesn't want to be progressive? Progressive is destructive. I mean, they're destroying this country. Radical leftists are destroying this country. And so again, no, the left is expert at this, but the problem is that the radical left has infiltrated every institution of this country, our universities, our media, K through 12. They're indoctrinating our children. They control the narrative. It's, as I keep saying, it's not a level playing field. It's not a fair fight.
I think that you've really hit it right on the head. Senator Ron Johnson, senior senator from Wisconsin, appreciate the work that you guys are doing to shake up the Senate. I know there's a lot of changes coming in the next couple of years. Thanks for keeping things grounded in good policy. Look forward to seeing what you do for the American people.
Let me just end on this note. One of the things I'm trying to push in the Republican Senate is to have a mission statement. I come from the private sector. It's extremely important. Let people know what you stand for. So my one-sentence mission statement would be to fight and defeat the ideology and policies of the radical left that are destroying America. Now, not only would that be a good mission statement for Republicans in the Senate, that'd be a really good mission statement for Republicans in general at this point in time. I want to be as aspirational as possible, but at this point in time, people need to understand that our nation is hanging by a thread. We are running out of time. And our supporters need to understand that we get it. We understand how the left is destroying this country on in all kinds of realms, okay? So I want to push that out there. I want more Americans demanding the Republicans adopt that kind of mission statement.
I think you're definitely going to see that kind of momentum in the future. Again, Senator Johnson, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back in just a second. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Mark Deitel is the only real estate expert I would trust with the sale of my home. How about Luke and Emma in Franklin? Here's what they had to say. We bought land and began building our new dream home, but then we had to sell our old place at the right price. The Mark Deitel team got us multiple offers in the first weekend and negotiated for us to stay while we completed our new place. It was stress-free and easy with Mark Deitel.
What separates Mark Deitel from the competition is the guarantee. Mark Deitel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. That is the Mark Deitel guarantee. Pick your move date, no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. Call Mark Deitel today, 317-755-4232. He's the only agent we trust and recommend on the Hammer and Nigel show. You can also go online to markdeitel.com. That's Mark, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdeitel.com.
Summers in Indy are great, but don't spend it painting. Do what your neighbor Don did. He called Rhino Shield.
Well, the home was built in 1948. Paint on the aluminum siding was peeling, and I couldn't find anyone who would repaint it until I called Rhino Shield.
Rhino Shield's better than paint. And the crew?
Painted all my aluminum siding, and I've got a front porch that runs the whole length of the house, and all the pillars and everything. And once they were gone, I couldn't even tell that they were there.
With Rhino Shield's 25-year transferable warranty, you'll never have to paint your home again. And right now, you can get 10% off the regular price.
Well, I've told a lot of people, do the Rhino Shield. It's really a great product, and if you don't want to paint the house, that would be the way to go.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino!
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Thinking of popping the question? Diamonds Direct has an offer you can't miss. This month only, buy a natural diamond engagement ring of 1 carat plus and receive a free natural 1 carat diamond tennis bracelet valued at $2,000. Imagine giving her the ring of her dreams and her wedding gift all at once. No one provides education, selection, and value like Diamonds Direct. Your chance to get a free tennis bracelet from your friends at Diamonds Direct won't last long. Details at diamondsdirect.com.
Gilbert worked in retail and restaurant management for 14 years. It was time for a change.
I recognized where I was at was vulnerable to the whims of the economy.
Then he heard about My Computer Career. Gilbert went for it.
In as little as 7 months, I got all of my certifications at a fraction of a cost for college.
He became an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
I can work from anywhere. I have more time for my family as well.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Up to 50% off on all of our windows and doors, plus 12 months, no payments, no interest. It's our great granddaddy of a sale.
Awful tweets, the ones that no one ever deletes. Awful tweets on the Tony Kinnett Show.
On 93 WIPC.
Hey, welcome back. We are joined by the one, the only Jerry Lopez. You can follow him over on X at Indy Spanglish. Jerry, my man, how's it going?
Going great. How you doing tonight, TK?
I'm doing just dandy. So, we play awful tweets a little bit like this. All of our listeners and watchers have really picked up the pace. They've started sharing oodles, canoodles, and toaster strudels of terrible social media posts from everywhere, all over with us. And then what we do is we break those down, we make fun of those, and we've got a really good one to start. So first of all, this is from the White House on June 5th. They said, because thoughts and prayers are not enough. And then in big letters, ban assault weapons. What do you think of this one?
I mean, as far as I know, assault weapons are banned, but I would love to know the definition of what they consider assault, considering they can't even define what a woman is. So I need to get all the verbiage out front first before I start critiquing what they're going to call assault.
Also, I just trying to remember this one specifically. Haven't the Democrats had control of certain parts of government that they might be able to put forward a bill that did something like this? This seems kind of more like an election campaign shenanigan. You know?
Well, not only that, but look, I lived in Virginia, and D.C. had weapons were illegal. Chicago the same, but it didn't do anything to stop gun crime. So I don't think that's the way to go. Also, both those cities were ran by Democrats at the time.
Well, this is one of the first tweets that got completely destroyed and ratioed for the White House over on Twitter. So on the other side of really embarrassing White House and Democrat social media posts, from Harry Sisson, who I'm pretty sure could definitely qualify for a Democrat Senate staffer in the Senate chambers, if you know what I mean. He's tweeting about the Time magazine Biden if he wins cover, where Biden's actually kind of making the same Poopy stance from France today. So Harry goes, wow, I'm totally blown away by this cover of President Biden for Time magazine. He's standing firmly behind the Resolute desk, ready to put it all on the line to fight for Americans. This is a man who's dedicated to the country. 4 more years.
Yeah, I mean, I've had enough of the week. I've had enough of the weekend at Biden's experience. Like, this is just too much. Not only do we suck does it suck as a country now, but Other countries love this because France has just become a little bit more powerful with how weak we've gotten. Did you see this dude doing the poop shuffle today?
We talked about that earlier on in the show. Absolutely.
It's horrible. This is our president, and he is the laughing stock of the world.
I do love how, again, Harry gets all excited. Like there's this huge youth movement for Biden, and he's going to be disappointed in December. Well, speaking of disappointment, as we've talked about, you and I have talked about this, the Washington Post is having a rough time because no one's reading it anymore. Their CEO pointed out they've lost half of their subscriber base. They're not making any money. And so we talked about this earlier in the week, but it was an awful tweet that was sent to me again, so I had to bring it up for you. Margaret Sullivan, a columnist for The Guardian, says if the Washington Post is to fly again, then its journalists must share the cockpit. What do you think about that plan there, Jer?
I mean, as long as they're brown, I'm good with it, right? I mean, that's how the Washington Post sees it, and this is why nobody's reading your dead paper.
I thought you were making the DEI pilot joke.
even the digital edition is dying. Like, what does that tell you?
I'm saying that if your journalists are the cause of the massive problem over at the Washington Post, maybe just kind of an idea.
The Washington Post doesn't see it as a problem. They have no problem with the ship going down as long as the people in the cockpit are brown and lesbian. That's all they care about.
Well, we'll talk more about Star Wars Acolyte another day. This one is from Brandon Yan, and he was a guy who ran for the city council in Vancouver and didn't really do very well. He said generations of queer and trans people existing before SOGI. SOGI stands for sexual orientation and gender identity, by the way. He says inclusive materials don't change people in the way you think. They do open hearts and minds to the diversity that already exists and equips you to handle it as an empathetic and knowledgeable person. Jerry, you've gone through diversity training. I've gone through diversity training. Did it open your mind, man?
Listen, dude, I felt a lot more diverse, man, but a whole month of seeing naked guys dancing on the street, man, I'm not really into it, dude. That's a step. It's a step too far. Be gay if you want to, but I would have the same problem if it was straight men and women walking down the street naked. I would not approve of that. It's not because you're gay. It's because your behavior is inappropriate, dude. Stop trying to be the victim. You're wrong.
So this next one is from good old Barb McQuaid. And Barb says she's complaining that the appeals court in Georgia has basically paused all proceedings in Donald Trump's Fulton County criminal case because of District Attorney Fani Willis. And so she says, what an absurd sideshow. Fani Willis no doubt used poor judgment in having a romantic relationship with a subordinate, which could bring ethics consequences for her. But that relationship has nothing to do with the guilt or innocence of Trump and his co-defendants. Oh, stunning, brave. By the way, Jerry, this is the same lady who said that the Hunter Biden laptop is Russia. It just
so do I even need to comment on her first tweet if that's what she said?
Right?
Well, once I find out you're on the Russian disinformation campaign, you are a buffoon, no longer to be listened to. Period.
She is a University of Michigan law professor, so very, very. Oh, and an NBC and MSNBC legal analyst. So there you go on that one.
But here's she's questioning just because the district attorney who's trying Trump may not be qualified to hold those proceedings. Why should we wait to see if she's qualified to hold such proceedings? Duh, this is a judicial process, lady. If not, why not just have Tony Kinnett go down there and run it? Who cares?
That is true. I would go down there and run it. And the reason I would be really good at being a prosecutor in Georgia is I could do that Southern accent, Your Honor, if it pleases the court. And also, I wouldn't.
Hillary Clinton already has that job, so
that is true. But I would be a great prosecutor because I wouldn't sleep with people in the local government, unless my wife ran for local office. So this next one, and you sent me this, and we had to talk about it. This is so the Dallas Wings sold out on Wednesday night. If you don't know what the Dallas Wings are, it's a WNBA team. Which is why you don't know what they are, right? Right. So anyway, people are saying, wow, Caitlin Clark is doing a lot of really cool things for the WNBA. People might actually go and watch her. So Lindsay Gibbs, who runs Lindsay Sports, says, since when does Caitlin Clark play for the Aces? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously I'm not going to rehash this Caitlin Clark thing, but it is essentially turned into like a race thing almost. My Cuban self is sitting on the sidelines just holding all the stats. So the Dallas Wings sold out their game. Congratulations. Now let's get to the stats. The Dallas Wings capacity is 6,251 people. I think that's the size of a large high school men's basketball gym.
The Newcastle High School field house can seat like quadruple that.
More than that by a lot, right?
By a lot.
So let's just keep going. WNBA attendance this past week, and there were a couple of games that Caitlin Clark did not attend those. Let's just give you the numbers of attendance real quick. 8, and I'll round all these up. 8,000, 4,000, 10,000, 7,000, 3,000, 10,000, 7,000. She appeared in 2 games in the same weekend. The attendance for those games, 17,200 and 17,400. So, hey, I'm very proud of you for selling out your 6,000 seat capacity. It's great you're growing the game, but come on, girl, like, use your head.
Yeah, on the bright side, I'm actually keeping you for another segment, so don't put down that phone. We're going to talk a little bit about the Indy Star up next because bad decisions regarding Caitlin Clark and the Indianapolis Star. This one don't even have to do with Greg Doyle. So we'll be back in just a second. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
As America's largest injury firm, we have advantages few others do. Our results and reputation are well known to the other side, and we have a track record of going toe-to-toe with them and winning big. But what does that mean for you? What does that mean for your case? I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. One of the things we're most proud about is that we set up our firm so that your case gets lots of attention from a lot of people. Our technology and army of lawyers give us insight and oversight into every detail and every moment of your case. Paralegals, legal assistants, investigators, buildings with boxes of evidence. Every resource carefully designed to get you the most possible. And at Morgan & Morgan, we even have a dedicated team to make sure that your calls are returned that very same day. Injured? Dial pound law. That's pound 529. All firms are not the same.
The choice is easy. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Today, filing for Social Security isn't just about your benefits. No way. The decision could also have a huge impact on your taxes, your IRA and 401k withdrawals, even your Medicare premiums. And if you don't consider these things when you file for your benefits, it could needlessly cost you a small fortune. Learn how you could wring every nickel out of your benefits with a free Social Security analysis from Bill Demery, your retirement guy right here in Indy.
If you've saved more than $200,000 for retirement and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis right now by calling Bill Demery, 317-648-5120. Bill simplifies the decision for you and helps ensure you get every nickel out of your benefits. Get that free analysis right now by calling 317-648-5120. 317-648-5120.
Hey, this is Spencer Thompson at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. Now through Monday, it's our inventory reduction sale. Take up to an extra 20% off the already low sale price on in-stock goods. Plus, huge discounts on special orders from Lazy Boy, Smith Brothers, Hollywood, Berlin Gardens, and Lift Chairs. We guarantee the best price, the best service, and free delivery only at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Reach your fitness goals in 2024 with the 20-minute once-a-week program at Exercise Inc. 5 locations now in Fishers. Visit exerciseinc.com.
90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. Be a responsible gun owner. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC, on with Jerry Lopez, because I saw something today, and I know I'm finding out now it's been covered a little bit, but I could not resist talking about this just one more time. So, as you remember, Jerry, the Indy Star had a very awkward start when it came to covering Caitlin Clark coming to the Indy Fever. You'll remember, yes? You remember Greg Doyle getting
he got suspended. Can't even attend any more games because he was perving out in front of our new star.
Yeah, so we can't even cover her. So they have to go elsewhere, right, to actually get their coverage of Caitlin Clark. I mean, imagine how awful that must be for them. Again, the only thing Indy Star was supposed to have left, because everyone hates their politics reporting, everyone hates their economy reporting. There's really nothing else they report on other than like food, and there are only so many restaurants in Indianapolis. And then there's sports. Right.
Fumbled the golden goose. They fumbled the golden goose.
Well, now they have drop-kicked the golden goose, just like out of the stadium. And so according to Andrea Williams, who is a columnist down at the Tennessean, she wrote an opinion piece at the Indy Star. And anyway, here's what the post says. There is a through line from Elvis Presley to Caitlin Clark that reveals how white performers are elevated above their talented black peers. And the headline is, Caitlin Clark's whiteness makes her marketable in the same way Elvis adopted black music. What do you think about that, man?
I'm just trying to think of other white athletes that make money, because all the ones I'm thinking about are black. They're all black. Every from the Jordans to the Tiger Woods to the LeBron James to even Kyrie Irving tonight, Tyrese Halliburton back home. Like, they're all African American, and that's fine. I don't hear people complaining about that. But they get one white female who's from Iowa. She's like a Middletown girl, and she comes here to Indiana. And guess what? We're not rooting for her because she's white, because there are plenty of other white girls in the WNBA. I can't name any of them. We love the fact that she can pull from half court and make buckets. That's why we're watching. I don't care that the girl on your team had a double-double. I don't care that this girl had a big rebound. I want to see if the whole game was Caitlin Clark shooting from half court, I'd still buy tickets.
There are a good amount of white and Hispanic guys in MLB, and I love baseball. I enjoy it. Ozzie Smith will forever be my favorite player in the history of the MLB. I love it. I have a signed ball from him. As a Cards fan, really love his legacy. And I don't remember looking at the color of the player when I was choosing who I would try and fail to throw like when I was a kid.
In the MLB, there's one day every year that every player wears the same number, and it's 42 in honor of Jackie Robinson.
Right.
The only time that anybody does that.
So she seems to be making an argument that, again, she says how white performers are elevated above their talented black peers. Now, here's the best part. And this is I love this. So she talks about talented black peers. I've read the article 6 times. She never once mentions any of Caitlin Clark's peers. Any of them. None.
Yeah,
she doesn't mention anybody. Not even someone who has like half as many shots completed, which again, it's the WNBA, but still, like, she doesn't even mention not just any comparable peers. She doesn't mention any peers. I don't know who out there is going, well, who is Tiger Woods' white equivalent? Like, what? Get out of here.
Right. You know who we figure out who Tiger Woods' equivalent is? When the dude starts winning. And then we say, oh, look at Scotty Scheffler. He's nice. But you got to win to get there. How about this? What do you think the number one most viewed game ever in the history of the WNBA was? If you guessed Caitlin Clark's debut, you'd be right.
Yeah.
2.12 million viewers, highest in 23 years. How about this one? In the past 9 years, can you name one of the WNBA most valuable players? I'll give you a hint. 3 girls won it twice.
I literally have a
one?
picture where I met the Sparks in like the Indianapolis International Airport, and I took a photo with them and we chatted for a bit. And I actually got one of their numbers. I was in college. I don't know. I kid you not. I do not even remember the name of the Sparks player of whose number that I got.
What I'm saying. Like when they were in college, when Lisa Lobo and Lisa Leslie and those girls were in college and they played at UConn, it was exciting. They were winning a whole lot of games. But then they went over to the WNBA and nobody cared.
All right, so we'll wrap that one up. Although I do want to make one final point before I have a little bit of a surprise here for you. It was sent to us during the show. And I really appreciate this. People have pointed out who are trying to defend the Star for some reason, who, by the way, can't even sell subscriptions for 25 cents. And I do mean 25 cents, according to the Facebook ads with a ton of laughing emojis, that they say, well, this is an opinion piece. Why are you aggravated about an opinion piece? Because there are these things called editors. And if I were to write a trashy opinion piece, I just published an opinion piece in the Daily Signal today. If I wrote a trashy opinion piece, my editor would throw it out. And by the way, I have submitted an opinion piece before that Ken was like, no, go try again. You're better than this. You don't have to publish pieces. This is openly racist trash. But again, aside from that.
Yeah, but to do you one better, he's not writing this piece about a player in Los Angeles. She's writing this piece about the biggest golden goose Indiana has in the Indianapolis Star.
Right. All right. I got one thing for you, Jared. This is you and I will definitely pick this up next week because I guarantee you there will be some fun fallout. However, I was sent this during the show. So you were talking about the Joe Biden Poopy shuffle. For those who don't remember, here's what this looked and sounded like with the music there. It's incredibly upbeat music as the president does his little Poopy shuffle, very stiff out. Someone sent me this, and I couldn't help but bring it in. Jerry, you watched The Office, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember when Michael Scott went and addressed, like, the college students and brought the boombox? Here's that clip.
And now, without further ado, I present the regional manager of Dunder Mifflin Scranton, Michael Scott.
Hello, everyone. I am Michael Scott.
Hello, I'm Brandon Hidalgo.
I just couldn't. I saw that. I could think of nothing else. It was the best. That now we genuinely have clips from The Office to summarize this presidency. Jerry Lopez for Awful Tweets. Thanks for sticking on a little bit extra here with us this evening, man.
Hey, I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your night.
Thanks, my dude. I tell you what, ladies and gents, it is a special time to watch politics because truly it's entertaining. I was asked the other day how I manage all the time to do this, and it's not a mail time question, just kind of a general wondering how I find time to do this. And the answer is that I really see all of this as entertainment. And my goal is to break down all of the silly junk that's going on around the country so that you can laugh through it as well. Because, of course, it's incredibly embarrassing. There's a lot of things that are unprecedented. We're seeing, former Trump aides that are being thrown in prison for things that Hunter Biden is kind of let off the hook for. And there's all other kinds of nonsense going around. But if you laugh at it and you recognize it for the nonsense that it is, then you'll have a better time. You will. You'll have a much better time if you laugh at all this stuff. We will be back tomorrow. We've got a lot of great content lined up for a great Friday. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's a joy to be on the air with you. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC. See you tomorrow.
Close your eyes and picture it. The warm sun on your face.